footprint.
On WVIZ PBS, first at 8, straight from New York Harbor. Taped at the historic Hall of Registry. Ronan Tynan, Anthony Kearns, and Finbar Wright in their first concert produced on American soil. The Irish tenors, Ellis Island. Then at 10:30,
it's the return of Ireland's golden tenor, Frank Patterson. In Frank Patterson, God Bless America.
Thursday at 8 on WVIZ PBS, where you belong.
Hi, I'm Julie Henry.
And I'm Jeremy Bishko from Cleveland Botanical Garden.
You know, for many of us, there's nothing better than spending the day gardening, and so we are going to be getting out the hand tools and digging in the soil.
We'll be talking about everything from annuals to perennials, vegetable gardens to water gardens, and just about anything in between.
And joining us will be horticultural experts from across the area who will share their expertise, demonstrate some easy-to-do hands-on techniques, and tell you some great tips that'll make your garden the envy of the neighborhood.
So whether you have a brown thumb,
or you're all thumbs,
you'll have a green thumb after you watch the all-new WVIZ PBS special, The Gardener's Guide for Northeast Ohio.
That's coming up next.
I'm Kent Geist from WVIZ PBS.
And I'm Julie Henry, and welcome to the Gardener's Guide for Northeastern Ohio. What an exciting day we have ahead, Kent.
You know, Julie, I can't believe it's been this long since we've done a show like this. We've never had a gardening show here on WVIZ PBS, and yet gardening is one of the most popular hobbies in our region.
And whether you're an experienced gardener or just someone who wants to get started and have beautiful flowers around your house, the next 4 hours are made especially for you because we are going to give you tips on everything from growing vegetables to growing annuals and perennials. It's going to be a great show for the experienced gardener and for the beginner.
Indeed, and thanks to Cleveland Botanical Garden, they've worked with us, so you're going to see 4 hours of experts coming through the WVIZ PBS studios to answer all the questions you might have.
That's right, and joining us to get us started now is Jeremy Bishko.
Let's bring Jeremy in. I'll go over to the other side. See you later. We've got some great thank you gifts. Make sure you stay with us.
Okay, and Jeremy Bishko, who's an education specialist from Cleveland Botanical Garden, joins us now. He'll be the co-host for our 4 hours of gardening today on WVIZ PBS. And Jeremy, already I've learned from you the difference between soil and dirt. And to start us off, maybe we should talk about that for a minute.
I think dirt's the stuff on your face and soil's what plants grow in.
So today we're going to be working with the soil and not the dirt. And
Exactly.
we're going to be talking about a wide variety of things. Give us some of our topics today.
We'll probably start off with how to sow your seeds and everything involved with that. Talk about compost and manures and garden tools and everything you need to have a great garden here in Northeast Ohio.
Okay, so sit back and relax and enjoy these wonderful demonstrations. In fact, let's get started now with sowing seeds indoors. Sowing seeds indoors are one of the simplest and cheapest ways to have a wide variety of plants for your garden. And joining us to tell us how to start our own plants indoors is Maureen Heffernan from Cleveland Botanical Garden. Maureen, thanks for being with us
Hi,
today.
it's great to be here.
So why should we bother starting our own plants indoors when you could just go to the garden center and buy plants?
Well, there's 3 main reasons. One is it's so much less expensive than buying plants. The second reason is, which is probably my favorite, is it's just a real thrill to start your own seedlings. You know, to give life to these little seedlings is just a real thrill. And third reason is you have access to so many more interesting kinds of plants. It'd be like going to a grocery store and there's just one kind of soup to buy. With starting seeds, you can have access to new hybrids, heirlooms, just a whole range of really interesting kinds of plants.
And you order the seeds from catalogs? I mean, is that the way to get the wide variety?
Probably to get the most interesting things, the newest things, are catalogs. And there are so many interesting, fascinating catalogs out there. There's all the major ones, Burpee, Parks, Shepherd's, but if you do a little research, you can call the Botanical Garden. There are heirloom catalogs, and really fascinating things you'll want to try and grow.
I've seen catalogs just on Totally Tomatoes that has a catalog on just hundreds of varieties of tomatoes. There's a lot of things out there.
Yeah.
So for your spring planting, when would you want to get started with your seedlings and starting the plants indoors?
Well, timing is really critical, and right about now everybody has cabin fever. They want to get started, but they really should hold off a little bit. The key date to remember in Northeast Ohio is about May 15th, the last average frost date. And there's also a date in the fall, which is, I believe, October 15th. So if you want to start seeds in the spring, you kind of keep the spring date in mind. Later in the summer, you keep the fall date.
So May 15th is when you can finally start growing the plants in your yard? Is that what you mean?
You can transplant them out
Outside.
or sow them. It's the date of the average last frost. Hopefully there should be no killing frosts after that.
So if you wanted to be able to plant them by May 15th, how long before that would you have to start them?
Well, almost all seeds take about 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost date. It's when you can safely start sowing them. If you get them too early, what happens is they get root bound in the container, they get leggy, weak plants. So you want to just hold off until about that 6 or 8 week window period.
So about mid-March to late March is when you'd start sowing your own indoor seeds.
Right. Now it varies by the type of seed. Some grow very fast. You can sow them about 4 weeks before the last frost date, but just check your seed packet.
Okay. And how about if you get us started? Show us how we would start growing our plants indoors.
Okay. Well,
are there different containers that you'd want to use?
Yes. When you start sowing, you'll want to get all your supplies together, which would be your container, obviously, and soil. And there's a whole range of soil containers. There's recycled ones. Yogurt cups make great containers. This is one of my favorites. Styrofoam cups are wonderful. So you get your containers. You can also buy different kinds of containers. And these peat pots are really nice. These are good to use for seeds that you want to sow that should be planted directly in the ground. They don't like being transplanted. A lot of melons are like that, pumpkins, nasturtium seeds. These you can put right in the ground. This will biodegrade. This is called a peat pot.
Okay.
Those are good to use.
And those are available at just any garden
Just
center?
anywhere. They're very inexpensive. Or a regular plastic pot. Or you can get something a little fancier, which I like this a lot, is a container with no drainage, because you really want the soil to soak up the water. So you don't want drainage holes in a germination container.
Okay. And what are these things inside?
Well, this is another kind of container. It's called a Jiffy pellet. And these are kind of neat. Kids like these a lot. It's like a little thing like this. It's made out of compressed peat. And you soak it in some water, and it'll pop up to this. And there's a little hole inside. Right in the center, you could pop in a seed.
And then you can just transplant that right outside?
Exactly. You can put it in the ground, or you can get a larger container and pop it in. You can transplant it in and let it grow on. So these are nice for a whole range of larger type seeds, especially.
Now, if you use soil, can you just go out into your yard and just dig up some soil from your backyard and use that?
No, absolutely not. You shouldn't do that. A lot of people want to do that, but you can cause a lot of disease problems doing that, and the soil gets too heavy and clayey, and the poor seeds just kind of suffocate in that. So what you want to use is some kind of soilless mix. And what we have here is we have seed starting mix. I think we have a bag. You could hold up on the side there what it is. And this makes great, actually that's perlite.
Okay,
that's what we've
perlite.
added
To the soilless
to
mix.
the soilless mix. This is a seed starting mixture. It's a very fine, light mixture, and this is perfect for seed starting. It's very dusty, so when you use it, get some water to tamp down the dust.
So what would the ratio be, about half and half?
Well, about half and half approximately. You just want a very nice, light, well-drained mixture. So we've already gone ahead and mixed that. We've pre-moistened it, which is important. We want to tamp down the soil a little bit so the seed has a good, it's in good contact with the soil. Mm-hmm. And let's see, what do we sow here? We can try some marigold seed.
So it looks like you can really sow anything. You've got marigolds, you've got spinach, beets, carrots, squash. Will anything work well inside?
Pretty much. Well, everything will grow inside, but you don't want to plant everything inside because some things are easier and better to sow directly outdoors. And I have these seed packets here are some that you should really grow directly outdoors. Things like carrots, beets, beans, spinach, lettuce, sunflower, cosmos. There's a lot of plants that you don't need to start indoors. But again, look at your seed packet, and that'll tell you, or a gardening reference book.
I know a lot of people just like to stick the seed all the way under the soil. Don't some seeds need light to be able to germinate?
Yes, they do. And again, your seed packet is going to be key to give you all the information. But things like petunias, impatiens, ageratum,
lettuce seeds, I think.
Lettuce, right. A lot of the very tiny, fine seed you should just kind of put on the surface of the soil, because too much soil, it'll be too dark and they won't germinate.
Okay.
So we've got our soil in here, and one mistake a lot of people do is they get their finger and they just make a big hole. And chances are it's way too deep. These little tiny seeds are trying to push through, and it's too deep for them. So what I tell people is, whatever the amount of soil it should go over the seeds, if it's a quarter or an inch, just sow your seed on the top of the container like this. And by the way, this is a great device. I love this.